The emergency siren screamed across Docking Bay 94, echoing off the steel walls like a chorus of panicked voices. Smoke and sparks filled the narrow corridor as Elias Rowan sprinted toward the chaos. The human officer was used to danger, but the flickering lights, the alien cries, and the scent of ozone made his pulse spike. At the far end of the bay, she crouched behind a cargo container, trembling. Her three-finger hands gripped the edge as a pair of armed mercenaries advanced, their blaster rifles glowing in the dim light. "Don't move," one of them shouted. She flinched, eyes wide. Her skin was an opalescent blue, catching every flicker of light. Long, delicate ridges ran along her face and neck, an alien beauty that might have been admired in another context, but now made her look even more vulnerable. Elias didn't hesitate. He leapt over the scattered debris and rolled in front of her, drawing his sidearm. "Back off," he barked, voice steady but sharp. The mercenaries hesitated, recalculating the situation. Humans were notoriously unpredictable, and this one was bold. They had come prepared for an easy target. Instead, they were met with someone willing to stand between them and their prey. Elias's fingers tightened on the grip of his blaster. "I said, back off." A blaster bolt sparked against the wall inches from his head. Instinctively, he pushed the alien woman to the side, taking the brunt of the attack himself. Sparks sizzled across his uniform, but he remained standing. She stared at him in shock, silent. Her breath came in short gasps. You saved me?" she whispered, voice trembling. "Yes," Elias said, keeping his eyes locked on the mercenaries. "But we need to move. Now." For a moment, she just stared, as if trying to memorize him. Then, without another word, she scrambled to her feet. Elias grabbed her arm and led her behind a stack of shipping containers, moving in a zigzag pattern to avoid line of fire. Finally, they ducked into the shadow of a maintenance corridor. The sound of alarms and shouting echoed behind them, but the immediate danger had passed. She leaned against the wall, trembling. Elias lowered his weapon. "Are you hurt?" "No," she said. Her voice was soft, melodic, yet edged with something distant. She looked up at him with wide, violet eyes. "You don't know who I am, do you?" Elias blinked. I thought you were just someone in trouble. That's all I saw." Her gaze hardened slightly. "I am not just someone." She took a deep breath, as if preparing to weigh him with words. "I am Althira Vale, heir to the Vale Dominion." Elias froze. The Vale Dominion, one of the most powerful and feared empires in the sector. A civilization known for its ruthless diplomacy, advanced technology, and a military unmatched in precision. And here she was, standing before him, vulnerable, cornered in a starport maintenance bay. "Your royalty?" he asked carefully, keeping his voice calm. She nodded. "I am. My position is a secret. No one is supposed to know, especially not my enemies. If they realize who I am, we will both be in far more danger." Elias studied her carefully. She was delicate, yes, but there was a quiet strength about her. The way she held herself despite the terror in her eyes, the subtle shift in posture that betrayed an instinct to survive. He understood that instinct. Humans survived by adaptability. He could see it mirrored in her. "Then we need to get out of here," he said. "Can you walk?" "Yes," she said. "But they may follow. The Dominion's enemies are clever. They will anticipate my movements." Elias smiled faintly. "Then we'll be clever." The two of them moved silently through maintenance corridors, using the maze of service tunnels to avoid detection. Althira kept her distance, her head low, but her eyes constantly darted toward him, as if trying to gauge his intentions. "So," Elias said quietly, trying to lighten the mood, "your royalty, And you're in trouble. Mind filling me in? Her lips pressed into a thin line. It is complicated. The Veiled Dominion is fractured. There are factions that oppose my claim. One of them discovered my presence on this station and attempted an extraction. They want me captured, or worse. Elias frowned. And they didn't expect me? You are human, she said, almost like a statement of fact rather than judgment. Most do not consider your kind capable of intervention. He chuckled softly. That's part of what makes us dangerous. We surprise people. She allowed herself a small smile. Perhaps. You art brave. Or reckless. Perhaps both. I prefer to call it necessary, he replied. They reached a secondary docking bay, dimly lit, with a single shuttle waiting. Althira's eyes widened as she recognized the vessel. This is unauthorized, she murmured. If I board, it could be traced. I've thought of that, Elias said, pressing a small console on the wall. The shuttle's tracking systems were disabled, at least temporarily. We have a few minutes before anyone notices. She hesitated. Then, finally, she said, lead the way. Inside the shuttle, Althira sank into the seat, her posture tense. Elias strapped himself in beside her. Silence stretched for a long moment, filled only by the quiet hum of the engines. Finally, she spoke. I should not be here, with a human. It is unprecedented. Doesn't bother me, Elias said honestly. We both survive better together than apart. Her gaze lingered on him. There was something in her eyes, a flicker of vulnerability beneath the strength, that made him realize just how isolated she must be. Not only as a fugitive, but as the heir to a dominion where trust is a currency few can afford. You are very different from what I expected, she said softly. I get that a lot, he replied. For hours, they navigated through uncharted routes, avoiding detection, sharing stories to pass the time. Althira spoke of her homeworld, the Veiled Dominion's history, and the burden of leadership thrust upon her at a young age. Elias told her about his life in the Coalition Navy, the moments of fear, the moments of pride, and why he had always felt compelled to protect others, even strangers. By the time they reached a safe relay station, a subtle bond had formed. Not romantic, not yet, but a connection forged in survival and mutual respect. Althira no longer appeared entirely untouchable, and Elias no longer saw her as merely a high-value target. She was someone he could rely on as much as she could rely on him. The relay station was quiet, a hidden outpost on the edge of neutral space. Elias piloted the shuttle into a secure hangar. As the engine shut down, he turned to Althira. You're safe for now, he said. She nodded, but her eyes betrayed a storm of thoughts. Finally, she asked, voice barely above a whisper. Why did you save me? You didn't know who I was. You didn't know the Dominion, the danger, nothing. Elias met her gaze steadily. Because it was the right thing to do. It doesn't always have to be about titles or politics. Sometimes it's just about helping someone who needs it. Her lips quivered, and she let out a soft laugh, almost disbelief. You are truly human. Perhaps there is more to your kind than I was led to believe. And perhaps there's more to you than just royalty, he replied.